I wasn't gone too long, was I? So, it is November. October's long gone already. God, it sucks. I hate when October's gone. November's just as busy, though, as October. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm back, but I'm leaving again. But this trip is going to be a fun one. I'm going back to the Frankenstein. So, who knows what that will bring? I'm sure I may bring some pieces back, which would be great, but I'm going to visit Frank's brother, have a good time, and look at some cool stuff. So, we're back here looking at 3 of my favorite masks that I already talked about on this channel, but there's a reason I'm bringing them back up today. But there's a reason we're looking at them once again. The mid-'80s was probably one of the best times for Halloween masks, especially if you like bloody and gory masks, okay? Distortions Unlimited produced, obviously, some very bloody shit. So let me reintroduce this trio once again. We have Bashed, Hack, and Grizzle. And I think last time when I did the first video on these, I messed up the name on one of them. Anyway, it doesn't matter, because I just corrected myself. These are from the Frankenstein. You'll find the original video under the mask, either the Masks of the Frankenstein or the 31 Days of Halloween stuff. First off, the big deal about these is they're just incredible. 3 of the great, in my mind, these are 3 of the greatest masks ever produced by Distortions Unlimited because they're so gory. And I have a connection with these because they were always in Fangoria magazine in that mid-1980s. Probably at least 85, 86. Maybe these were around in 83, 84. I gotta look up the first appearance of these masks in a Distortions catalog. However, rewind to that time period, a young Jordu Shell was visiting the Frankenstein as a kid. He was 15 years old. Saw these masks at Frank's. And he said, he goes, these are cool, but they don't have enough blood. So Jordu, the young Jordu Shell, took these home, added all this extra blood to them, and sent them back to Frank, way back in the 80s. So to me, that makes this a very special trio. So I said, you know what? These look so different than the standard factory masks. I said, I want to find a whole nother trio with factory paint-ups. And I'm on the quest now to find perfect examples of all 3 of these in their factory look. And I did find one of them so far, which I'm going to bring out. You will notice these are still on styrofoam heads, these black painted styro heads. Like I said, thank God Frank painted these heads with a thick black paint. The masks are still pliable, totally aged, but still rubbery. But they're like a little, you know, thicker feel to them than brand new, but still incredible. That being said, they're like stuck on these heads, okay? They won't come off until I go and bust these dumb heads apart, okay? So if you don't believe the whole styrofoam hurts a mask thing, believe they get stuck in masks. I've proved it time and time and time again. It's so funny. I don't even want to go. It's just going to get my blood boiling. Those people out there that think styrofoam is no big deal and they ignore everything I've ever shown on this channel, they're like the flat earthers of the mask world. So anyway, I'm going to have to do surgery on these. They're going to go and get foam filled. These have to get foam filled. Which one did I find in a factory finish? Bubblegum in a dish. It is Hacked. Okay, I found a Hacked out there, and he is right behind me. Hold on. I figured we should compare factory finishes versus the Jordu Shell paint up deal. Look at that. So check this out. This is cool. I mean, this is I'm gonna look at my fancy mask stand. When people go, what do you use for mask stands? That's what I use for a mask stand. I use a freaking plastic bottle with a little bit of water in it. You don't want to fill them up to there. You'll have, you know how much weight that is on a shelf? If you have a chintzy shelf on the wall and you put bottles filled with water times 20, it's going to be a lot of weight, you know? So just put a little, like an inch or two. So we're just going to stick him on there for now. Let's bring him front and center. We're going to turn him a little bit like that so we can study the differences in the factory paint up versus the Jordu shell bloodbath. All right, get out of here. One thing I do realize is these were produced for several years, so there may be real drastic differences in the paint ups from year to year, you know, depending who painted them at Distortions, what year they came out. I love when they have the old hair like that. I mean, it's so awesome. But as you can see, this guy's way more bruised than this version here. Even before Jordu's bloodbath, we'll call it, it didn't have all that pinkish purple bruising like this copy did. I would say this is probably a later copy, like 86-ish, 87, who knows, but it's just, I want to start finding these, you know, in their original finishes and just have 2 complete sets, because these masks are, to me, they're incredible. And I had to compare. I never really looked at these yet side by side, so I said, you know what? It'd be a cool video tonight, you know? He's got a lot of, I don't want to say purple, but he's got a lot of maroon colors going on in him. But I like this one better because it's more flesh toned. But obviously, this is super, super cool. This thing, I have the original tag for this mask too. I'm going to get all of these foam filled. This one, it was dirt cheap on eBay. Nobody bid on it, or I think the guy had no feedbacks. Then it gets lost in the mail for like weeks and weeks. I'm like freaking out, like, please. I was worried, number one, I was going to get ripped off, but number two, I'm like, well, package is missing, and finally arrived. But look at that difference in that paint up. And I like this is probably the first version of this mask, which I thought was 83. I could be way off, at least 83, 84. I like it because it's got serious bruising, you know, like bam, like took a hammer and beat that dude, you know. So he's got serious bruises going on instead of just a big, you know, pinkish, purplish, you know, fleshy spot. Although the skull looks really cool there. Very similar paint up on that eyeball. I'd say the same person could have painted these 2 masks, just years apart. Minus the Jordu bloodbath. Hey, get out of there. But, so if you are a mask collector out there, if you're a Distortions guy, and you happen to have the bashed or grizzle, okay, I've got the hacked. Even if you have another hack that looks a little different, I want mint versions of these. I would love to do a cool display of them. And there's one more I'm searching for because he certainly fits in with their gory appearance. And that is the one who's got half his face ripped off and his tongue is hanging straight down. I just missed out on one in one of the groups and I about threw up because it was so pristine looking, and that's exactly what I've been looking for. But if you guys out there, I'll show a picture of what that mask is on the screen. I'm a serious buyer, of course. All right, it is Gusher. There he is. Someone has one on the group here. See the tongue hanging down? I want that mask really bad. Just missed out on one. I was like, no. Holy shit, Kevin, you have one. Oh my God, not the Gusher, but you got a grizzle. Oh, maybe I could talk Kevin out of his grizzle. Anyway, let's see. What else can we talk about in this video? Because I'm leaving town again, like I said, and I hate leaving you guys with no videos. I'm on a roll. I love doing this. The channel's growing. you know, and but of course I want the channel to grow. I want this to really I want it to be worth all the efforts, you know. I'd love it to be some sort of database of vintage masks where people could just go to my channel and I'll cover so many vintage masks in the end, you know, in the end. But along with David Lady, I mean, he's covered a zillion creepy cheapies, and thank God for David Lady, you know. But anyway, on to the next stuff. Speaking of bloody and gory, I gotta give a shout out to my friend Josh. Josh, Wizzy, Nightmare Force. I'm sure you all are aware of Nightmare Force. Josh, Wizzy, Mikey Rotella, they were and are the driving force behind Nightmare Force. I don't remember. There's been guys that come and go with Nightmare Force. I don't remember the whole family tree, okay? So forgive me if you were part of this group or you're with them now. All I gotta say is I love them. What can I say about Nightmare Force? Nightmare Force is the real deal. If you love this stuff and you were a part of this stuff in the 70s, 80s, even the 90s, Nightmare Force was there. And they have a love for this stuff just like you and me, okay? That's why I say they're the real deal. They are legit. They are mask psychos, okay? Especially Josh and Mikey. They live and eat and breathe gory vintage masks of the 80s, okay? Like it's in their blood. It runs through their veins. And these two masks are a result of that, okay? Josh, I don't even remember what the hell these are called, but they're amazing, okay? I've told Josh time and time again, you know, growing up when I did or when we did, I think I was a little older than Josh, I would see masks in costume shops. I know you've heard me say this stuff 1,000 times. And I'm sorry, but that's what this channel's about. This stuff's here because of my childhood and me growing up loving this stuff. So, seeing the masks in costume shops back in the day, you would see like these hairy beasts with crazy hair and blood and big teeth. And they were so well done. I told him that's the kind of stuff that I remember looking at on a shelf. You know, I'd be like 10 years old, 12 years old, looking at a mask up in the air behind a counter or something and going, man, that is some scary shit, you know? It was scary, scary looking stuff to a young kid. And it's just, these masks are a huge reflection of that time, you know, and they know it. These guys, Nightmare Force, that's what they're all about, you know, and they want to bring you gory, bloody, gory, fucking gnarly masks for a good price, okay? And they're doing it. Josh has been kicking ass once again, and I hope to see really, really good things from him this coming year. So I had to show these. I may have showed these before on the channel. I don't even remember because I deal with so many masks, but if I did, I'm sorry. But these are these two black beasts with bushy hair, giant fangs, and nice red blood. You wonder why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it. Now, why am I describing these in detail for something you can obviously see on the screen? Well, recently I've come to realize that I have a viewer out there who cannot see the things you're looking at on the screen. And I have a fan of my channel who lost his eyesight, and his name is Ed Martinez. And Ed was a mask maker. He was in a special effects game and making masks way back in the day. And he actually has a YouTube channel that I want to give a shout out to. Doing something like this, taking on a YouTube channel, I learn as I go. You know, I learn the fundamentals, I learn the basics, but then I learn about people. I've met so many great people along the way. I know this channel's not like, you know, 5 or 10 years old, but I've met a lot of people that follow and love this channel. And recently I've talked with Ed, and we've talked over the phone, and he's a remarkable person. It blows my mind that I have someone out there who loves hearing these videos. And I told him, I said, I'm going to start telling you more about these masks when I can, in detail, even more detail than I've talked about over the years. So I want you guys to find Ed's channel. He's another legit, real deal monster guy from the California special effects world, Ed Martinez. Hang on, I'm gonna go to his YouTube channel. I told Ed, I said, I have a friend out there who is a car buddy of mine who he's deaf, okay? And I remember about 2 years ago, whenever I started this channel, he emailed me, he said, hey, can you mess with the closed captioning? I want to be able to read the words in your videos. And I'm like, not thinking like, man, he can watch my videos too. Like, this is awesome. It's little things you don't think of every day with people out there that are trying to see this content, and it's incredible to me. Ed, I'm gonna put Ed's YouTube on the screen right now. Ed Martinez Official, okay? Ed and his wife Nina are still producing videos. He has an active YouTube channel right now. So I told him, I go, I want to give you a shout out. I'll give you another shout out, another one. I'm going to keep giving you shout outs along the way. That's what good people do for each other. They help each other. I've heard horror stories in this hobby where, someone starts climbing the ladder and they're so excited. They actually get, nasty emails from people like, you owe me this and that because I did this for you, and you better do this, and you better give me a shout out here. And I'm like, I don't want your help if you're going to be like that. I'll climb the ladder on my own, but good people, good people help each other. I don't expect anything in return. If I help you with your channel and you become a freaking billionaire tomorrow, good for you. I'm happy for you, but don't ever, if you're wanting to work with me on something and you want me to show your products out there, I am happy to do that. I'll show your masks. Throw me a bone if you want, but I'm a pretty reasonable guy, okay? Back to these cool masks by Nightmare Force. I can't remember. One's got pointy ears, sticking up big old pointy ears. They totally remind me of 80s gory Halloween masks. And that's the thing about Ed. He lost his sight so many years ago, so he has a great memory of all the masks, all the movies. So if I talk about old Don Post masks, he has those in his mind. Like, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. So when it's things like this, I want to really explain to him and other people out there who are listening, literally listening, and they're not seeing what we're talking about. I want to start talking a little more in depth about things. It's amazing to me that I can have people out there listening to this stuff, like Ed. So Ed and I are always texting back and forth, but we've had some good telephone conversations so far. It's a good friendship. Good dude. So anyway, yeah, Nightmare Force. If you guys aren't familiar with Nightmare Force, they are, they're like, I don't even know how to explain it. They're into metal and monsters and horror and gore, all the stuff I love, and they made this mask company, and it's like a total image of them. Their work is a total image of everything they're all about. Okay, that's what I'll say. God, Josh was just making some badass monsters on his Instagram I was watching. He actually owes me some masks. He doesn't owe me, but he says he's gonna make me these other beasts. I gotta check in with him. Anyway, Josh and Mikey, you guys are the shit. I miss you. I miss you guys so much. Didn't see you at Mask Fest. And well, come here. Look who I found, guys. A little kitten, little mustache came into the frame.
Came with the frame. It came with the frame? Yes.
So, I am trying to plan a trip to California. Over winter, maybe before spring. I got to visit a lot of my good friends out there that I haven't got to see in a long time. So those of you in the LA area, I'm doing everything I can to get out there and just hang out for a week or two. Okay, I miss LA too. What else can we talk about? I have another Nightmare Force mask. Where is she? She's a bloody old girl. Let me go find her. Where are you, darling? Hey, darling. Oh, I love Texas Chainsaw Part 2. Oh, darling.
Darling, don't be scared, darling.
There she is. I know I've had to have brought this mask up on this channel. But I want to show you, oh God. When I say Nightmare Force is into the good bloody gore, here's another piece, sculpted by the great Mikey Rotella. He made this version in a blonde and a brunette. I said, I gotta have a brunette, I think that's one thing I've been meaning to do on this channel is show you all the female masks in this room because they look great when they're all displayed together. I actually saw a collector once that only collected female heads. Meaning monsters or vampires or whatever. They're all female. And I'm like, I could totally get into that. I think that would be amazing. So we're going to have to go and shoot. When I get back in town, we're going to have to put all the female heads together and take a good look at them. But look at that. Mikey did this and a crazy monkey ape with his brain exposed. And I think he had them side by side at Mask Fest one year. And I think the ape was chewing on part of her face or she had part of his flesh. And it was a cool set that I should have bought together and I never did. But at least I got her. She's incredible. And when this was going on during a Mask Fest convention, I left her in my bed with the sheets up to her, neck for the cleaning lady, for the housekeeper. And that was probably a nice surprise for her. She set it nicely on the TV stand. Anyway, another great Nightmare Force mask. A brunette with her whole half of her face ripped off from the nose down. So she's missing her nose, missing all the flesh around her mouth. Her mouth's open, and she is nice and bloody with her bloodshot eyes looking down like, where the hell's my face? All right, yeah. Nightmare Force. I need more Nightmare Force in my life. Speaking of gory and cool and vintage, that brings me to the next mask maker I'm going to talk about, who I haven't seen in a long time, okay? And I've heard, I think his Instagram was taken down, but I think he's kind of coming back into the mask world. And that mask maker is Riff Ghoul, RZFX Riff Ghoul. Let's get rid of these Nightmare Force beasts, and I'm going to take you into the world, the wonderful world of Riff Ghoul. Alright guys, I think I probably talked about Riff Ghoul's work before on here on an old episode, but it doesn't matter. I could talk about this guy's stuff over and over and over because it's so great. I originally met him at Mask Fest years ago, and I remember walking over to his table, and I'm like looking at everything, and everything was this great, detailed, oozy, gnarly sculpt, and you could see he's nailed the Melting Man look, okay? Obviously. So good at it that, I probably kept going to his table throughout the whole weekend, and I started noticing his prices, and I'm like, dude, you should ask a little more money for these things because they're so well done. They were definitely underpriced, in my opinion. The pieces were made of latex rubber or a nice resin material. Riff Ghoul was, I can't remember his name, but Riff Ghoul, RZFX. But I believe that he hasn't been online in quite a while. I'm assuming for very personal reasons, but Someone told me he may have come back with some things, or starting back in the mask making world again. I hope we see more of his work. I'm actually trying to buy some pieces right now that someone was selling because I want to get more of his stuff, you know. And the two melting men he had at, oh my god, Pete Infeli's Devil's Workshop has one of these. It's so cool, and he puts this little light under it, and it's in his bar. It's incredible. I've bugged him a million times. He will not sell it to me. Maybe I'll just have to steal it. It's the Great Melting Man sculpt. The latex versions were a little smaller than the nice resin pieces, but I'm going to take the camera down so we can look at him a little closer. Dude, his stuff deserves to be seen, okay? Like, look at this one's got hair on it. He said, usually I don't put hair on them, but this one I did. And just awesome, clean work for a melting dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nice, clean work for melting flesh. You know what I'm saying? So very this guy, I'm gonna move these out of the way, and I really want to show you him all by himself. But just for now, I'm gonna look around at these guys. I don't remember the names of his creatures. You know, I had to, since I'm talking about some good old independent mask dudes I know, I had to bring up Riff Ghoul, because he is the shit, okay? Riff Ghoul, if you see this, I wish you very well. I hope you come back with some new monsters for us, wherever you may be. And if you guys know, if you know if he's back, please tag me. Please put in the comments, like, his current Instagram or whatever. I would love to follow him once again if he's back, okay? So that thing is massive. It totally reminds me of a Trauma, you know, character. And these are nice big pieces. I mean, I don't have the biggest hands in the world, but man, you could tell these are just beautiful big pieces. And this one is a resin, this one's latex, but god damn, they're cool. This, I bought both of them at Mask Fest, and this one I said, man, this would be insane if this was a giant 70s candle. Do you guys remember when you were kids, the crazy big, like, if you were a kid in the 70s, they had these big mushroom candles. They'd always be dusty in someone's house because they didn't want to light them, but I remember these gnarly 70s candles that were big and thick and just crazy designs, and this creature absolutely reminds me of one of those 70s candles. We had them in our house. We had big mushroom candles and like a big lion candle, some weird lion heads. You know, I guess my parents just liked mushrooms, you know, I don't know. We had mushroom candles everywhere. This dude's cool because he has 3 bullet holes right in his dome here. Boom, boom, boom. Looks like 3 like 9mm rounds went right into his noggin. And the cool thing about him is he's got maggots in the back. They look, oh my god, that's gross. They're like rubber maggots. They look so real. They even feel real. Cool. Freaking cool, man. But he, you know, he really went crazy with detail. A little moss glued in, maggots, and I mean, this thing was probably $200, you know, $250, and it's massive. I'm like, dude, you can ask more money for your stuff. But I said, don't do it until I buy my shit. Anyway, Riff Ghoul, I wish you well if you see this, and please come back. If you got pieces that are laying around, I would love to buy them. You know how to find me. So I had to bring these out. Had to. Anything else? Can we look at anything else tonight in this crazy room? Let's see. One more. We're squeezing in one more familiar face. The great Kyle Glencross from Canada. Good dude. Sculpted this incredible Darby Jones from I Walked with a Zombie. Old zombie flick from the 1940s. This thing is nuts. I know we've talked about it before, but I want to keep, you know, if a friend of mine made something spectacular, I like to talk about him over and over and over so he gets more exposure. Kyle has plenty of exposure because he's so good. He's such a talented artist. But man, I had to show this thing one more time. We had to wrap tonight's video up with another independent artist, you know, like, I know we didn't start off somewhat independent, but we dove into the independent scene with some greats. But this thing is amazing. The movie was in 1943, I believe, and Darby Jones played a few different roles in zombie films from that era. He was also one of my favorite old movies, A Day at the Races, the Marx Brothers. I am a huge Marx Brothers fan because of my father, but I didn't even know he was in A Day at the Races until recently, but he was an uncredited singer in one of the scenes. I'm going to have to watch that again and see if I can spot him in that movie. But Darby Jones, his eyes bulged out when he was this zombie, you know, in the film. Kyle nailed it. The detail on this sculpt is so cool. Everybody at Mask Fest that year kept pointing at this thing on the table like, look at that. Kyle also did a silver screen version of Darby, but I had to get the full color piece. It's insane. So let's take the camera down and look at those eyeballs. Darby Jones was definitely one of the coolest zombies of all time. A lot of younger people would never even know that because I think there can be a serious cutoff of younger horror fans who I think love the 70s and 80s stuff. I would guess don't dive too deep into the 1930s and 1940s horror flicks, which they absolutely should. I'm not saying everyone doesn't, but you younger guys out there, there's so many great creepy old films and from the old days. You know, I love to sit on the couch in the winter and just play them one after another. And B movies. I get deep into crazy B films. So this was a fun little quick episode. You know, I got back in town. However, I'm leaving once again, and it's going to be for a good cause. You guys know that. So thanks, and I'll try to pump out one more before I leave. You never know. I'm just going away for a few nights, but hopefully when I get back, there may be some really cool stuff to talk about. All right, I'll see you next time.